water, and what I had to do was boil the water. Well, not quite boil it, but get it warm, and then add some cold water. So I had warm water to activate the yeast, and then that's been sitting for a few minutes. And then I measured out the flour and sifted all of it. Sorry you missed that. And so what we're gonna do next is once the yeast is nice and raised, well, that's looking very lovely. Check that out. So once the yeast is nice and raised, which is looking pretty good, but I'm gonna give it a few more minutes, I will add it all together, and then I get to manually knead it with these babies. So that's coming next. So see you in a second. So I'm sitting here playing with the flour because I froze it to kill any bugs that were in it before I sifted it. And now it's really cold. I'm wondering if it will have an effect on the yeast. So I'm just kind of playing with it to try to get it a little warmer. But as I'm sitting here, I'm wondering, has anyone ever taken a flour bath? Because it's so soft, and this flour is particularly cold. In a warm environment, that would just be wonderful. I'd love to lay in a bathtub full of this, but that might be kind of weird, so sorry. Anyways, I'm about ready to put the yeast in, so bear with me for 1 second while I grab it. Oh, whoops. Yeast raised so much that it actually got onto the cloth that I was covering it with, so that's right. Okay, so I still have a little bit of unactivated yeast at the bottom, but that'll all just figure itself out, I guess. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to put my oil in. TBSP of oil, and that's optional, but I like to put it in because it sticks less when you get it out of the oven. Well, that's why. So now with these puppies, I'm just gonna get in there. So it's feeling a lot different now. The yeast is warm, the flour's not that cold anymore. So it's just gonna mix and mix. Forgot to check if this bowl is big enough, but I guess it is. So at this point, I'm just trying to mix it. At home in the United States, I would use my KitchenAid for this part and just set it on number 2 for like 5 to 10 minutes and let it knead it for that long, and it always turned out super beautiful. But here I don't have my KitchenAid because I didn't want to bring it and then have to leave it when we came home in a year and a half. So my little hands are gonna have to do. I'm getting all kinds of messy, and this happens every Wednesday, but at least Wednesday isn't also laundry day, because if you've seen my laundry video, you would understand that Wednesdays would be a little crazy. So while I'm doing this, I can tell you what I put in this dough. I put 4 cups of warm water and 4 teaspoons of yeast, plus 1/4 cup of sugar into the blue bowl that you saw me take the yeast out of. And actually put those all together, and you have to make sure that the water's not too warm and not too cold for the yeast. So then you let that sit for about 15 minutes so that it can rise. And then you put 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of salt, and the other 1/4 cup of sugar, and 10, yes, you heard me right, 10 cups of flour. Now, this makes 4, oh, and then 1 tablespoon of oil if you want to, and then also one of my friends said that she adds honey, but I didn't do that today. This does make 4 loaves of bread though, and here for me that is what I need. I need 4 loaves so I can put some in the freezer and then put some in the fridge and use that. And here we use a lot of bread because I make a lot of sandwiches for lunch and all that junk, so I make a lot of bread. But if you wanted to change that recipe, you could half it or even quarter it, and you would have either 2 or 1 loaf of bread. And if I was going to do it for my first time, well, in fact, my first time I did do it, I did 2 loaves, just to make sure I didn't waste anything and make sure I knew what I was doing and all that good stuff. So, I'm going to be quiet now and speed it up a little bit and let you just watch me knead this. So I have 4 balls now that I have crafted with my hands, and after you've kneaded a dough enough, when you first, I should have showed you, but when you first have it, it's nice, it's not nice, but it's like pretty lumpy, but once you've kneaded it enough, it's a lot smoother. So I usually try to knead for at least 5 minutes on each little ball of dough that I have. So, and you have to keep adding flour to your hands and stuff if it starts getting sticky, and that'll help the process. So, once I have kneaded them like this, then I go ahead and leave them. I'm going to put them each in bowls, or I'm going to put these 2 on this plate here, and then I have 2 bowls. 2 more, and I am going to cover them and let them sit for probably about an hour, maybe not quite an hour, but I like to let them raise for quite a while so that they are bigger loaves of bread. So at this point, we just wait. It's all covered. It's in a good spot in the kitchen. The temperature here is great. It's about probably 75 or 80 degrees, and that's the good temp for the rising of the bread. Slam the door. Hope it didn't slam. So we're just gonna leave it here and let it do this for a little bit, and then we'll come back to it and get it in the pans and everything. So. See you in about an hour. Well, here we are back again, and we will look and see that our beautiful little balls have more than doubled in size. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put 2 of them into cooking pans, because I only have 2 cooking pans. And then the other 2 will let rise again. Shoot, I didn't turn on the oven. Okay, now the oven's on. So we're going to, I always line the whatever's pans with some parchment paper so that I can use them right after the first one. So this is a small pan. I'm going to put the smallest of the 4 on there. I think it would be this one. So I always knead it just a little bit more, put it in the pan, preheat the oven, and let it rise for another 15 minutes or so. I should take my ring off. And then this one's a bigger pan, so I'll put the biggest one in this one. And I think that's probably this baby right here. And you knead it a little. It got a little hard on the top, so I'm hoping that doesn't affect anything, but we'll see. Alright, so we've got them in the pans. They're going to rise just a little bit more. I'm going to put them on top of the oven so they get a little warmer. That's what that looks like. So we'll wait another half an hour or so. Here we are, 30 minutes later, and these have raised beautifully. So I'm going to put them in the oven. Right now I have it set at 450 degrees, which is way too much. I don't know why I put it that high. So I'm gonna let it air out just a little bit. The ovens here are super hard to figure out because there's no number settings on the dials, so that's fun. So anyways, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit and let it just air out a little bit. So usually what I do for these babies is I put them in and let them cook for 20 minutes on one side, and then I turn them, flip them this way, and then 20 minutes on that side, and they usually get done pretty well. So they're in the oven, and I'm gonna set a timer. All right, here we are, and our bread is done. So I'm taking it out of the oven. These are loaves number 3 and 4. So here's this one, looking good. And I'm just gonna set it out. Well, maybe not. I'm just gonna let it sit out to cool off for a little while. This one didn't raise as much as I hoped it would, but oh well. It's a baguette. And there we have it. Bread, fresh from the oven, sitting on my counter, ready to cool. And that is how we make bread in Dominica. Join me for more next week, but not really.